Regardless of age, regardless of position, regardless of the business you happen to be in, all of us need to understand the importance of branding because our influence story. In business today, our most important job is to be the marketer for the brand or
Pag may nagpapa-up, huwag yung click mo. Wala, pag-click mo lang close button sa taas. May script pa na yun. Pag may aanin na sa folder, nagpa-click mo lang close, mag-click folder. Diba? So, ang ibang way doon is terminate this is a reminder for everyone to never stop learning and develop a passion for finding your loved ones. So don't spend more time in things that don't add value to your life. Also remember that it's not all about will be blinded by successful conditions. Prioritize having a balance with mindset instead of one mindset. Be willing to start small, appreciate every small things in life, and be willing to share your skills because that's how it's done. Thank you so much for supporting.
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Or medyo robotic din, pati yung boses ko. Please let me know before I start. Can you guys hear me okay? It's probably my internet connection. Good evening. How's my audio, guys? Okay naman. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. So, today we're going to have a training session with Cristina Osborne of Kita Kita Virtual Business Solutions. So, before that, I would like to thank everyone and congratulate everyone for making the right choice. Kasi every day, like what I always mention, the students or yung reminder ko sa mga students is to make the right choice every day. Try to learn something every day or every week, no? Kasi especially sa panahon ngayon, we need to learn a lot of new things kasi yan yung possible na makatulong sa atin na makahanap ng sideline kahit nasa bahay lang and we can, get to work from home, no? Especially for learning a lot. So mag-8 months na since we started the free webinars, free training sa Excel Hub, no? So we started, I think, nung nag-start yung ECQ, ayan. So, yun din yung naging way kung bakit naging or nagkaroon ng growth ang Excel Hub because of the pandemic. So, naging blessing siya for us. And thank you sa mga followers natin. And I just would like to have some quick announcement for November. We have social media class, no? Ganun pa din every Wednesday yon. Every Saturday naman is SEO, content writing, and intro to blogs. Tapos yung Monday and Thursday, third week and fourth week is for bookkeeping batch 2 naman yan. So, possible na baka last batch of classes namin yan kasi baka busy yung mga tao ng December. And baka January na kami mag-open ng ibang courses, no? So, let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to message us. May mag-a-assist naman sa inyo from Monday to Friday. And also, yung mga students namin sa Linda, yung mga naging guest speakers namin, the volunteer mentors, yung mga volunteers ng Excel Hub na nagsusupport kay Excel Hub, they will be getting giveaways sa Christmas din. So, stay tuned na lang or wait for our announcements. So, I would like to add Christina. Hi, Christina. Good
Hi,
morning or
everyone.
good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you once again for inviting me for another live video session here with Excel Hub. You're doing such a fantastic job, just giving opportunities for Filipinos to gain more skills and thereby giving themselves more opportunities to find work, to find income, to find the sideline, as you say, and just to better their lives.
Yes. How was it, Christina? Since our first webinar, are you getting a lot of messages or followers from LinkedIn?
Yes, indeed. And I'm so happy with that. And I welcome everybody to connect with me on LinkedIn, to ask me how to apply for jobs as a VA, and just for sharing knowledge, ideas, and opportunities. Thank you for you and your team, Roxy, for giving me that extra boost and opportunity as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, guys. So we've been hearing actually for US or Australian clients, we've been hearing the term real estate niche, no, for example, for virtual assistants. So for UK, we actually call it property investor. Thank you for that information, Christina. So we
Uh,
call it,
yes.
yeah.
I mean, it still is referred to as real estate. It's just a kind of distinction in terms of jargon that in the UK we use the term real estate less frequently and less normally as the US and Australia.
All right. So, guys, for those who haven't watched Christina, you can always watch a replay. We have the video that was last Saturday, 6 p.m. So you guys can check our YouTube channel and watch the video. Christina actually shared a lot of insights and tips on how you guys can start working from home for UK clients. So, Christina, how did you come up with this topic? So you actually FYI guys, Christina actually volunteered to teach us this topic today. So why did you come up with this topic? Is it that in demand when it comes to working with UK clients?
Okay, so I came up with this topic or training because previous to this, prior to this, when I source virtual assistants for my clients, I did not give any specific skill sets that a client may be looking for. So it was either generally an admin role, graphic or creative design role, and a digital marketing role. So these were the three categories that clients approach me for. But my clientele base, the majority of them has always been composed of landlords and property investors. And bit by bit, they keep asking me, "Are these VAs trained? You know, do they know what kind of work I'll be asking them to do?" And the most that I could say is no, they're not trained. They have the skill sets that you will need from them so that they can work for you. But you, the client, have got to teach them yourself what what kind of specific and specialized skill sets you'll need for them to work for you in property. And from feedback, I kind of just close that loop, that gap, and say, do you know what? I'm going to use this as an opportunity to give a unique product offering for my clients that if they come to me, that they've already got virtual assistant candidates who have been trained and taught some of the concepts that the clients will be teaching them anyhow, saving the clients time instead of spending weeks to train the VAs on how to do these things, I've already done it for them. And I think that's the journey of how I come to this, how I came to this idea to run training sessions, training courses for aspiring VAs to learn the skill sets that property investors will be looking for from them.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to learn. This is actually something new to me as well. So yeah, I think I can show your deck already and we can start.
Sure, great. Is it ready? Could you let me know if it's
Yep.
fantastic?
Yep.
Great. So, thank you everyone for attending today's live video session. My name is Cristina Osborne. I'm a property investor based in the UK. And this year, I started a virtual assistant sourcing business mainly for landlords and property investors in the UK. And today's the first time I'm doing a preview session for my property VA training course. Again, thank you for attending, and do be patient with me because this is the first time I'm doing it. Today, I'd like to discuss mainly what it's like working for landlords and property investors, why you should be working, why it's a good idea to work for landlords and property investors, what sort of skills they'll be looking from you, and we can do a Q&A session at the end so that you can ask me some questions that you might have thought of from this session. So the first topic is why work for landlords and property investors. As a VA, you are quite versatile. You can work for solopreneurs, you can work for coaches, you can work for authors, you can work for software developers. There's a myriad of options to work for. But today I just want to discuss why specifically it's a good idea to be working for landlords and property investors. I think the first reason would be stability and security. Unfortunately, in today's situation in the UK, there's a recession. We still have got the pandemic going on, and it's unlikely to clear up for a good maybe another 18 to 24 months. And unfortunately, that's going to mean that some businesses are not going to survive, and that means job losses. And when there are job losses, that unfortunately means that some people will not be able to pay their mortgage. A mortgage is a loan that you take on to buy a property. So I think in the Philippines, we're not very familiar with the term mortgages. We maybe use the term house loan or home buyer's loan, but in the UK, the term is mortgage. So this would mean that if a homeowner cannot pay their mortgage, they might have to sell up. And if there's a lot of people selling up, that means that the prices of these properties are going to go down. And this is a big opportunity for property investors to be helping these homeowners by agreeing to buy their properties for them so that they don't go into default and get into repossessions from their banks. So this is the time for property investors to be buying lots of properties. During good times, when it's not a recession, it's also a good opportunity for these property investors to maybe offload some of their housing stock, or for them to be flipping properties or developing properties. So either way, if it's a good year or a bad year for business, there's always opportunities for property investors to still be making money. So for you as a virtual assistant working for property investors, this is a means of having security that you will not lose your job because your employer has lost his or her business. So that's one very good reason, especially in this current situation that the world is going through right now with the pandemic. Second reason is that landlords and property investors like to work in a systemized and routine way of doing their business. The reason for this is property investors like to use the term cookie cutter. Cookie cutter means, like, you know, when you have a cookie cutter and then you roll the dough, and then no matter how many times you press the cookie cutter on the sheet, you have the exact same shape of the cookie, whether it's a star or a gingerbread man, whatever it is. Okay. So, what cookie cutter means that when a property investor has chosen a strategy for his or her investment, that person is going to stick pretty much to that same strategy. Um, so, a strategy could be, for example, buying properties that are run down and need a lot of refurbishment work. And then, after refurbishing that property, the landlord might then decide to refinance that property and get a new mortgage now that the property is all done up and the value has increased. So that's one strategy that landlords and property investors like to use. So once they've mastered that one strategy, they can repeat the whole process for the next house and the next and the next and the next. So you, as a virtual assistant working for a landlord who's got this particular strategy, you will quickly get to understand his or her way of doing things. And so for you, life becomes easy because it's going to be pretty much the same way. Okay. Third, landlords are usually driven individuals. So they've got a goal set ahead of them. They know how many houses they want to be buying in the next year or 5 years. They want to know. They know how much income they want to achieve, how much cash flow. So you, as a VA working for these people, you are always very clear what kind of what the goal is for the business, and so you want to help that landlord achieve his or her goals. So it's very focused and very clearly communicated to you as a VA. What exactly are you working for? What I haven't put in here is the fact that landlords, I would say almost 100%, maybe at least 98% of these landlords and property investors value education. And I don't mean like college education, I mean like teaching themselves the latest new strategies, or teaching themselves the like what the current market is, what the industry is looking like. So these are people who will sign up to courses and trainings and read and be interested in the latest news. So these are individuals who want to make sure that their business actually stays on top um, of the current of any current industry situation. And the next reason would be it is very rewarding to work for landlords and property investors, um, because mainly, number one is the stability and security in the income for you as the VA, and also the kind of workload that you get is not going to be boring, if that makes sense. So it actually ties in with the challenging aspect, which is next on my bullet list. So as a VA working for landlords and property investors, you will be given numerous tasks, and it's always exciting to be given the task of doing online research for the kind of properties that this landlord will be wanting to buy. So it's exciting to look at pictures, floor plans, to look at rental income, to be comparing that with the mortgage payments, to be speaking with tenants or speaking with Airbnb guests. So it's not going to be just everyday typing into Excel sheets or everyday data scraping from a website or inquiries coming in from emails. So it is going to be multitasking for you as a VA. So I hope you like that kind of work. If not, then maybe being a property VA is not the best career choice for you. So this leads me on to the next slide, which is what kind of work is a property virtual assistant expected to do? So I mentioned that it's going to be a variety of tasks and responsibilities that you'll be asked to do. But in general, I think I can safely say all of this is actually considered admin work. But I will just separate the term admin work for general kind of filing, paperwork, inbox, email management. There will be data scraping as well and data entry. So that's all under admin work. Lead generation. So in other industries, lead generation might mean specifically to capture inquiries that might lead to a sale. For property investors, that might mean a different thing. Sorry, give me 1 second. For landlords and property investors, lead generation might mean helping the landlord find tenants. So those are leads as well. Helping the landlord find Airbnb guests. That can also be a lead generation. Also helping landlords find motivated sellers. I mentioned earlier that there might be home owners right now who will need to sell. So the landlord or property investor might be asking you to help him or her find those motivated sellers. Another task for lead generation will be helping landlords find financiers and angel investors who will want to lend your employer, the landlord, some money to buy more properties. There's also customer service, especially if the landlord has lots of tenants or guests. Power team liaison or coordinator. Landlords and property investors, they don't work alone. They may be a one-man band in terms of this is this person's business buying and selling properties, but as a property investor, he or she will have teams around him, and the teams will be mortgage brokers, builders, and contractors. It could be solicitors and estate agents. So you, as a virtual assistant, you will be given tasks to help coordinate these teams to make sure that the current project or an existing project will go smoothly. And then finally, branding and social media manager. These days, there's lots of landlords who are on LinkedIn, who are on Instagram and Facebook. They want to be posting updates on their projects, updates on the refurbs, and updates on properties that they're currently buying or selling. So you, as the VA, will be helping this person putting pictures up on Facebook, dealing with inquiries and commenting and engaging with people commenting on their posts. So this will be your responsibility and your role as a VA. Sometimes landlords will be hiring more than one VA. One will be doing marketing and social media management. Another will be doing just mainly with admin work. Or the landlord might say he or she will be giving you all of it, and you'll be a full-time VA rather than a part-time or freelance VA. Sometimes also, I haven't mentioned, a landlord might also need some um, bookkeeping tasks for you to do. This will generally be basic bookkeeping, like compiling receipts and um, putting in Excel sheet the expenses for a certain project. So I'll just put that under admin in general. So knowing what kind of tasks you will be doing for a landlord and property investor is the next question. What skills will they be looking for from you? I'm just going to distinguish landlords and property investors for the time being. They're usually generally interchangeable. If you're a property investor, what you can be doing is you're buying and selling properties, for example, or you can be buying and keeping properties, or you can be doing both buying, selling, keeping properties. Um, Landlords specifically are property investors who then let their property out. In the Philippines, we say rent, or we say, I don't know now. I haven't been in the Philippines for a long time. But the specific term for that they use here in the UK is let, Let. So let means that someone's rented your property. So as landlords, you've got the specific strategy that you have let your property out to tenants. Not all property investors want to become landlords. Some property investors just want to develop properties and then sell it on. They don't want to become landlords. And some landlords just want to keep their properties. They don't want to be selling these properties on. So I thought I might just clarify and distinguish the two terms. So I've got three levels of skill sets here. So level 1, 2, and 3. This isn't a formal categorization of these skills. This is just my own categorization, mainly because I want to show that the progression of more and more specific skills. So level 1, what any virtual assistant will be required to have, whether you're working for a property investor or you're working for, let's say, a business coach. You need online and remote collaborating tools. So whether this is Asana or Trello or Monday or Slack, whatever it is, familiarize yourself with any of these tools, as many of them as possible. Now, I don't mean to say that you need to have been using them for current or past employers. I'm saying at the very least, take an online course or teach yourself using YouTube. Just look at their how to do videos, like beginner beginner's guide to using Slack, for example. So just just watch a video on YouTube that at least gives you an idea of how to use these platforms. Now I say that because I don't decide for the landlord what they're going to be using. So you might have worked previously for a client who uses Trello, but then your new client, your new employer, does not use Trello. He uses Podio or Monday, for example. So you just have to be very familiar with all of these online platforms and remote collaborating tools. Also, if you then submit your CV and then you've list all of them, that will look very attractive to potential employers. And okay, so moving on, we've got work ethics and professionalism. So it's very different for clients here in the UK who are used to working by themselves, for themselves. They do everything and then they realize they can no longer do everything by themselves, and so they've got to hire a VA. And in general, these are people who've never employed anybody. Okay, so not employed a standard employee who works with them in the office, and definitely not employed someone who's halfway across the globe. Okay, so that's a VA from the Philippines. So you've got to understand that there are certain things that they will have objections to. Usually it's trust and communication. And so, as a VA wanting to work for clients in the UK, you've got to have these mindsets and approaches to work, and to give these clients and potential employers a sense of security for working with somebody who would most likely they will never ever get to meet in person. Okay, so these are responsiveness and being forthcoming. Responsiveness is can be as simple as just being online when the client is online and when the client expects you to be online. Okay, don't this is not a case of you'll reply to your friend on WhatsApp after you've seen the message 2 hours ago. Okay, so that's just not going to work with your clients here in the UK. If they send you a message, just you know that you're expected to be online at between 9 and 10 a.m. UK time, and so you're there waiting for the client. You can even be proactive and email the client before he's even online. You can say, hey boss, I'm online, ready for any instructions that you might have for me. So just being forthcoming and approaching the client before the client even needs to speak to you, so they know that you're there, you're online. And that is a really fantastic way of having a kind of professionalism. In relation to that is reliability. So any work that the client needs you to do, you can deliver. Okay, so that's reliability. Trustworthiness. I get asked by applicants all the time, do I really need to submit an NBI clearance? Unfortunately, yes. I know this is just one way of determining trustworthiness, but it's at least a very official and formal way. If I can present them with an NBI clearance, I can at least tell them I've done a background check on these applicants. So, your homework for today, if you don't already have an NBI clearance, is just apply for it, because it might take weeks for that to come through. If I know that at least you've applied for it, you've got a receipt, you've got some, I don't know what you get, like an email confirmation, then you can show that to me. Then I will accept that on a conditional basis. So, of course, the NBI clearance is not the only way to show trustworthiness to your employer. It also means many other things. These employers will be giving you login details to their accounts. They'll be giving you um, uh, details of their customers and their clients. Maybe it will be sensitive details. Maybe the tenant is a single mother with who's just left her abusive husband, and so now you're helping this person find accommodation in a social housing property. Those are very very sensitive information, and you don't want to be using that information and posting it and sharing it with your friends on Facebook. That's a big no-no. Okay, so just minding your responsibility, working for these people who's got clients that have assumed that their details will be respected. Okay, so just all in all, it's professionalism and excellence. And I am super happy and confident that, and this is why I work with Filipino virtual assistants, because I know that my fellow Filipinos are excellent workers, they're really hardworking, and they're industrious, and they're so talented. And I want to maintain that level of respect and recognition. And so for me, I just work with Filipino VAs, mainly because I'm Filipino myself, but also that I know that my countrymen can deliver the level of excellence that my clients expect. Um, okay, so I hope we're all still good and everyone at the back of the room is still keeping up. I'm going to continue some more. We've got level 2 set of skills that you will be required to do as a property VA. Understanding of UK geography is number 1 there. So that would still be considered a basic kind of knowledge. Dealing with property, you're dealing with things that are physically on the ground. Okay, so um, we're not asking you to know where Nottingham is or to know where Cardiff is, but to understand more or less how geography kind of works in the UK. Okay, knowing how to write postcodes, for example, or how to search for an address. Just 1 second, honey. I'm having a webinar, my love. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so next on the list would be understanding terms and jargon. Yeah, I know. Oh, thank you. Okay, she wants me to look at the text. Are you sure you sent it to me?
Yes, I did.
Ah, okay. Thank you. I'll look at it later.
I want.
Okay, sorry, my love. Okay, so we've got terms and jargons that investors use. For example, um, uh, distressed property, or terms like refurb or HMO or R2R or SA. So these are things that may sound alien to you, but when you work for a landlord and property investor, these are terms that you need to quickly learn. So I'll be teaching this in a 3-day free seminar. So there's more details at the end of this slideshow. So just wait for that. And then third on the list would be understanding different suppliers, or who the landlord and property investors refer to as their power team. I mean, they literally call them the power team. Yes, good. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, these people, these business people, they hardly work by themselves. They just buy the properties and consider what sort of strategy they want to be doing with these properties. They're not, um, they're not the ones. Sometimes they might do, but in general, they're not the ones putting carpet on the floor, painting the walls, or buying and fitting windows. They're not the ones actively looking for tenants. They might have letting agents doing that for them. And they're certainly not the ones doing the conveyancing process of buying these properties. They've got lawyers and solicitors to do that. So this is what is referred to as their power team. The power team helps them succeed in their property journey, and your role as a VA is to coordinate and to help the landlord communicate and work with his or her team, power team. Finally, we've got a basic understanding of property investing strategies. So there are, I mentioned one strategy to you, which is the buy a property that needs refurbishment, refurbish and do some work on the property, and then refinance the property. Or sometimes an investor will be selling that property on now that it's looking really nice. And then purchasing and financing structures. And you as a VA, if you at least just have a basic understanding of what these strategies are, you are better equipped to then help this landlord and you to carry out your duties if you understand why this landlord wants you to do something. Okay. Finally, you will be helping a landlord do some due diligence. A due diligence is the the work that a landlord and investor needs to do before he or she purchases a property. Okay, so this is diligence means you've done your background checks, you've done your research, you've made sure that this is going to be a good investment. Like I said, landlords like to do things in a cookie cutter way. So doing the due diligence is part of doing this cookie cutter. It's it's like a yes and no question. Is it this? Yes, proceed. Is it that? No, don't proceed. Okay. So you as a VA, you'll be helping the landlord carry out due diligence work before projects and properties can be purchased. And finally, lead generation, as I previously mentioned, this is to help landlords find tenants, to find guests, to find investors, and to find motivated sellers. So before I conclude my hopefully not too long presentation, I want to share this quote with you, and it says, "Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant." And what I'm referring to specifically is every training that you go through, every new learning that you have developed and allowed yourself to learn, all of this can later on grow into something that's fruitful in your life. Okay, so right now, for example, you may not be in a very comfortable financial position, or you may have other problems in your life. This doesn't mean that this situation is permanent. Okay, so what we can do to better ourselves and to better our lives is to plant these seeds of opportunities, these seeds that will help us to see a more successful and just a more fulfilling life afterwards. So thank you so much. I am now going to tell you that if you're interested to learn or any and all of these strategies, these terms, these jargons, I'm giving and doing a free 3-day training course. I guarantee you, I am not going to upsell you with a further course and ask payment from you. I'm doing this because I mainly, number one, want to help Filipinos have a better prospect in looking for jobs in the UK as a virtual assistant, but also it helps me because then I can go back to my clients and say, I've already trained these VAs with the skills, the terms, and the understanding and the strategies that you, as a landlord or property investor, will be looking for and needing from these candidates. So I think that's pretty much where we're at right now. Uh, Thank you. Should I stop my screen?
I'm not sure if they were able to capture the link to sign up, but I'll just
Oh
copy
yes,
paste
of course.
it
I'm
here.
so sorry. I forgot to do that bit. Let me just go back to share screen.
Yep, it's up.
Okay. There we go. I'm really sorry, guys. Yes, so do sign up. There's only limited spaces available because I want to make sure that I do dedicate myself to a small group of people, um, and to make sure that before I forward your application to my clients that you have gone through and understood the various skills and strategies that you'll need to learn. So please do sign up. This is the link, bit.ly /kita kita 3-day VA. And you should be able to book yourselves some spaces, and there's no payment necessary, and hopefully everything should be all right. Thanks again, Roxy. I will stop my screen share now.
All right. I think we have a couple of questions. Christina from Julia Butak. Was the property prices went down in UK?
Right now it's kind of okay. So here's the history of property prices in the UK for just this year. When the pandemic started and lockdown started in the UK in March, the Prime Minister halted all property sales. You couldn't buy properties, you couldn't transact anything. And so that created an increase in the demand when lockdown was lifted in June. And then by the end of May, house transactions picked up from when they were not allowed to continue in March. And so by June and July, property prices went crazy. So if you were selling properties at that point, lucky you. I think you rode a really nice wave. But it is, of course, expected that that was an artificial increase because that was mainly because properties sales stopped for a couple of months, and which was unnatural. So this increase is also unnatural. So what is actually expected is that after this artificial spike in house prices, that especially with the recession, I mean, there is already a recession right now. Technically, there's COVID still for the next 12, 24 months, and then there's Brexit. That's another issue that most Filipinos are not very familiar with. And so the general prediction, of course, everything is just a prediction. The general prediction is that the property prices will actually go down. It might already be starting to go down right now. It's hard to say. I would say we will learn more in about January, early spring next year.
Okay. All right. Another question from Atef. Ask ko lang po, if not staying in the Philippines, what will be the other documents replacement for NBI?
Can I ask like where this person is residing?
Okay. Yep. So Atef, if you can comment where you are located right now, so that so Christina, are you specific in hiring Filipinos located in the Philippines alone, or
Okay, so the reason why for my clients it works best if the VAs are from the Philippines is because of the salary expectations. Okay, if your asking salary is too high, because like say you live in, I don't know, Taiwan, or you're a Hong Kong resident, then you no longer become competitive to my clients. And so my clients will not be wanting to hire you because you will be wanting to ask more for your salary. Because where you live, your expenses are much higher. Your daily outgoings and whatever monthly outgoings you've got will be much higher than someone who lives in the Philippines. And so just on that, it's not that I only limit to Filipinos in the Philippines. It's that the salary expectations that my clients are wanting excludes, many other applicants who are not in the Philippines. Okay, so you live in Kuwait. I am not familiar with their process. If you can find out how you can get a criminal background check in Kuwait, I will be happy with that. But once again, I don't know what your salary expectations are, but compared to someone who lives in the Philippines, in general, you will no longer be competitive, and that position will go to someone in the Philippines.
All right. So we don't have any more question. There is one question, but I'm not sure if it's clear. He just said does include checking of stock, so I'm not sure if you understand.
If stock, if you're referring to housing stock, then I would say yes. That's going to be part of your job to carry out due diligence with for the landlord.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have any more questions, Christina. I'm actually curious, Christina, about the reliability earlier. Do you have like any clients that are requiring the VAs to use time trackers, like
Uh, uh,
getting
yeah,
screenshots of the desktop?
that is a very good question. I personally do not recommend time trackers and mouse click surveillance software,
Yes.
just because I think it's counterproductive. These software are put in place because the client wants to make sure that you're doing your job. But really, honestly, you can even, and I know I'm not giving anyone any ideas, okay? You can even download software that will move the mouse for you. Okay, so what does that say? It doesn't say anything. It means that you're both kind of playing I don't know, a cat and mouse game that's not doing anyone any favors. Um, I prefer for clients to think about their KPIs, key performance indicators, in terms of productivity and delivery and results. So if you're working with landlords and property investors, they don't care if you're in front of your computer from this time to that time, but they will ask you for the work
Yeah.
that you know that they wanted you to do. So you don't need surveillance software to to for the VA to then present work, because then it's obvious later on if you did not do your work. So I don't know. I hope that that
Yeah.
answers your question.
So there
um
are flexible work arrangement as well. Because some would prefer, 8 to 5 jobs straight, or some can just have staggered or flexible schedule. So that works.
Um, yes, so for whether you're working for a property investor, and because this is the topic for today, or for another client, in general, because the Philippines is 7 to 8 hours ahead, the client wants you to already be starting work, doing work. Okay, so that by the time the client wakes up, you might have an hour or two during the day to be online together and to work at the same time. Okay. Um, it's more or less dependent with the client. Like me, when I work with my VA, she's online from about 9 to 10. I might check in on her at half 9 or at 9 o'clock, and just to say, how's everything going, and did you do this and that. I don't even need to ask her because she's already emailed it to me when it's like 2 o'clock in the morning here and I'm asleep. But she's awake. She's starting her work, and she says, "Okay, so here it is." She attaches the files to me, and that's all I need, really. So it's very much flexible, and also it very much depends on the client you're working for.
Yeah. I think they prefer trusting environment instead.
Uh,
Um
I honestly, I absolutely agree with you with a trusting environment, which is why for me it's super important that you, as an individual, as a person, you already have that in you, so that when you work with clients in the UK, you're on that same level of trust.
yeah. Question from Elaine, what does off-plan new build property investment strategy mean?
Okay, so off plan means that there isn't a house yet on the ground, but you're already looking for buyers of these properties. So I think it's the same in the Philippines. You generally have, for example, billboards that say this is the new house and lot homes, and there might be a model unit where you can see something physical, or they might not be. It could just be everything's computer CGI and CAD drawings presented to you, and so that's what off plan means. So you are hoping that you raise money by selling properties that are not yet physically built, and then you use that money to fund the building. Um, Maybe also having other investors and loans coming in to build that property, and so then you have your profit margin when it comes to before these properties are even physically built. You've already made your profit.
Okay. I think last question. What are the usual business hours, PH time for property investors?
That's a good question. The answer is actually depends on who you're working for. But I would say most of the work that landlords will be asking you to do, half of that time will be on your own before the landlord is even awake. And then the other half of the time is working with the landlord. So that would generally be maybe I'd say 9 a.m. to about 2 p.m. So which is when you'll be online. It isn't always the case. It could just be you're working 9 to 12, or from 12 to 2, 12 to 3 o'clock. That would generally be about between 3 p.m. to say 9 p.m. in the Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just have to at the beginning of working with a client or an employer in the UK, you discuss your default hours.
All right. So we have no more questions. I think some of them are already signing up with the link that you provided earlier, Christina.
Thank you. I'm excited. I look forward, guys, to joining. Starting this course. I didn't even mention what day it's gonna be. So really my apologies for that. It's on the 26th to the 28th, so it's 3 days. I've put in 2 hours, just because I don't know how long it's gonna spill. So hopefully, it wouldn't take 2 hours. But I put extra in there so that if there's a Q&A session, then I'll be there on hand, to work out questions from you. There you go. Thank you.
So I'm flashing the schedule again, guys. So that's
Yes,
gonna be 3-day training course, October 26, 27, and 28. Let's check.
it's
So
Monday
that's
to Wednesday.
Monday to Wednesday, 5
Yes,
p.m. to 7 p.m. Philippines time.
yes.
And this is absolutely free, guys. So please use the link that I indicated in the comment section. And let me check. We have a question if there is a certificate for that event.
So what's going to happen is after the event, if you want to apply to work as a property VA, I'll send you a link to do an aptitude test, as well as a link to put in your curriculum vitae. So that will serve as both your CV and it's I can create a certificate. I'll be more than happy to. I have not thought about that, but just to let you know what the process is afterwards. You need to take an aptitude test before I can give you a certificate.
Okay, is it going to be via Zoom or do they need to install anything before the training?
Thank you. Good question. It will be by Zoom. So when you sign up with Eventbrite, they will give you a link um, to the event straight away.
All right. Make sure to sign up, guys. Limited slots. Thank you so much, Christina, for another session with
Thank
us.
you.
Anything you
Thank
would
you so
like
much.
to say? Anything else you would like to say?
Just many thanks from me to your team. Absolutely fantastic, very professional. And I want to add that after you take this property VA training, by all means, do not stop learning more things from Excel Hub, because the skills that I'm going to teach you is just very specific to property. There's many other skills that Excel Hub can teach you, and in fact, you will need to even be a property virtual assistant. So thank you very much, guys.
All right. Our students in Excel Hub are very good in Microsoft Excel and reporting, Christina. So I hope that's a plus if they're
Indeed,
going
that's why I'm here. That's why I'm using your audience, because I know that they've already got that mindset and professionalism. So I'm super happy with that.
All right. Thank you so much again, Christina. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, Christina. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.